Albert Einstein says, I often think in music, I live my daydreams in music, I see my life in terms of music. Us as music educators also do the same things, I believe. What we're really good at, we're actually really good at conducting concerts and performing for school events, right? But what could we be better at? And that's what we're going to talk about today. Teaching beyond the music, but through the music. My name's Tabitha Bennett, and today you're going to learn how to transpose some effective instructional strategies into your musical classroom in order to contribute to overall student success within your school, all while potentially boosting your year-end evaluation. You might ask, why rearrange my instruction? So have you ever been in a post-evaluation conference with your principal and your principal starts asking you about some very specific instructional strategies they're observing in other classrooms, and then you become tempted to say, but my classroom is different than theirs. Yes, your classroom is different, but you're still performing from the same piece. You're reaching the same kids and you're contributing to achievement data. So let's start. So one of the first strategies, instructional strategies you might hear, and would be cueing. And although cueing is important in the musical classroom, as that's the way we get our violas to come in on the right time, this isn't the type of cueing your principal is actually looking for. I believe this type of cueing is important. It's this type of cueing, the type of cueing we're talking about and that your principal sees has to do with helping your students access prior knowledge and put that knowledge to use learning new information. So how can we use this? Well, we can use it by using explicit clues. In the musical classroom, this kind of looks like, for example, before you're starting a DVD on Baroque music, you explain to your students that they're going to be observing and listening to bowing styles and articulations from the Baroque era. This results in your students recalling what they already know about bowing styles and articulations, and then expanding on that knowledge, applying it to the Baroque era. Another way to implement explicit cues is to provide students with like a list of questions that they're going to use during the current unit of study on Baroque music. So an example of some questions could be like, in thinking about bowing styles, how are the eighth notes commonly played? What are some musical forms used during the Baroque style? So these questions kind of act as a guide to learning, to the learning they're about to experience. And you know that they already have an understanding of musical forms and different bowing styles. So that's where the accessing prior knowledge to learn new knowledge comes into play. So another effective strategy is about the use of advanced organizers. So you can see that advanced organizers are used as a tool to introduce new material. But in the musical classroom, what we are really good at is implementing the advanced organizer of skimming. And this is done when we are going through the pre-steps to sight reading. We ask our students to look at the piece of music we just gave them and run through the music to see what is there in prep for what they're about to do. So how can we be more effective with advanced organizers? So for one, we could use the process more often, and we can also implement the other ones like expository, narrative, and graphic organizers. One that I'm really drawn to, and I think that it will be easy for you to implement, is a narrative advanced organizers. And what these do is students get an understanding of what and why they are learning. So what does this look like in the music classroom? So you could share a personal story about a time when you were faced with sight reading at an audition. And then from this story, the students can tell they're about to learn about sight reading and the importance of implementing the steps to successful sight reading. All right. Another effective instructional strategy is about questioning. And so what we are good at in the music classroom with questioning is asking our musicians, what does the P in the music stand for? And our students give us a direct answer. However, for it to be more effective, we need to start asking more inferential and analytical type of questions. Some examples of these type of questions you can start using in your classroom would be, why do you think the composer would have the flutes playing staccato and the clarinets playing legato? So it's having them think, why would he have contrasting styles? Another question would be, do you think the perceived composer's intentions came through? So in their playing, do they believe that? And inferential kind of questions you might ask in the classroom are, if you were to add some weight to your bow and play closer to the bridge, what kind of sound or feeling would you achieve? So those are just some examples about questioning. All right, so the next effective instructional strategy would be using non-linguistic representations. There are 5 recommendations for classroom practice using these representations to further student knowledge. There are the use of graphic organizers, as you can see, physical models and manipulatives, generating mental pictures, create pictures, illustration, photographs, and engaging in kinesthetic activities. So what this looks like in the classroom, you could have your students create a story. You could have your students create a story that goes along with the music they're studying. You could have the students use a graphic organizer to make connections between musical ideas and what is happening in the story. Another non-linguistic representation would be, when studying a piece of music in the waltz style, have your students learn to dance a waltz to help them understand and connect to the feel the composer is trying to convey through the music. All right, so note taking. All right, just one second. Let's take that off so you can actually see what's up. So, note taking as an effective teaching strategy. When we think of note taking, we are really good at telling the students what to write in their music in order to remind them of what they should be doing in that particular measure. But how to be more effective with note taking would be to find out if your school has a school-wide note taking method, and if so, implementing that into your classroom. But if your school has no school-wide approach to note taking, you could explicitly teach and model a few different formats of note taking as means to help your students decide which format works best for them so they can use it in their other classrooms. So one specific type of note taking that we can implement into our musical classrooms, and what that might look like, is you're lecturing on different bowing articulations found in classical music. And then for this lecture, you explain to the musicians how they'll be expected to take notes using the combination format, where they will write about the different bowing articulations and draw a picture to represent and better explain the different articulations. Taking it to the next level, though, is after the lecture, you have the students share their notes with one another to help the students expand their knowledge, compare notes, and then end up revising their notes. So then you're ensuring your students' success. All right, so the next one is about similarities and differences. Now, there are 4 specific strategies, and they are, as you can see on the screen, comparing, classifying, creating metaphors, and creating analogies. One thing, we are really good at identifying the similarities and differences ourselves, especially when it comes to students playing. We can tell if Johnny plays this way, whereas Rebecca plays this way. But how can we be more effective? We can implement more of these specific strategies. So what does it look like in the music classroom? Okay, you could get the students involved by having them compare the different musical elements between each of their concert pieces. You can have a discussion on that. You can use metaphors to help students better grasp new concepts. So an example being when playing a fast piece, you could say, I want you to hover your fingers over the fingerboard like a helicopter. So then when the note comes up, you are ready to go and play. So they're seeing the helicopter. Oh yeah, helicopters hover. Okay, this makes sense. I can do this. Another one, an analogy would be like play with the bow as if you're trying to play through a pot of honey. You want them to just pull the bow really slowly. So that would be some more effective strategies. All right, so transposing these are some of the things that you can do to transpose your classroom instruction, all to make a difference. You can start to take these effective strategies commonly found in academic classrooms and transpose them into your musical classroom in order to ensure overall student success. It is my hope and that you will not miss a beat the next time you're in your post-evaluation conference with your principal and they start asking questions about some of the strategies you have chose to implement into your classroom. All right, thank you so much.